We wouldn't have the theory of relativity if Albert Einstein drank alcohol. Now, by 1915, Albert Einstein developed both the special law of relativity and the general law of relativity. What this means is he was able to see how space and time were interrelated and how the curvature of space-time affects gravity and E equals mc squared. And don't worry, this video is not about science. It is about a secret that most people don't want you to know. And it's that successful people don't drink. Now, what do we know about Einstein and his drinking habits? Obviously, he lived a long time ago, but what we do know is that he never carried alcohol at all in his house. In 1930, he was at a press conference in New York City, and when someone asked him what he thought about prohibition, he literally said, "I don't drink, so I don't care."
I don't care.
At the very best, there's scant evidence that he would very infrequently sip a little bit of alcohol if it was given to him in a social setting, but he literally thought of himself mostly as a non-drinker. And I truly believe that as this non-drinker, he was able to express his creative genius on the planet, and he wouldn't have been able to do that if he was a drinker instead. Let's imagine it for a moment. Albert Einstein is a drinker. Maybe he even lives in today's time. And how much of his brain space has to be devoted to alcohol because of that? Now, Albert Einstein is a smart guy. He doesn't want to get consumed with alcohol. He wants to have rules and control around it. So he has a lot of mental capacity to make sure that alcohol stays in that place. First of all is the rumination. He's invited out for drinks with his friends. Should he go? Should he not go? Should he keep working on his science? Maybe he'll go, he'll only have 2 drinks, only have 1 drink, maybe only this type of drink, blah, blah, blah. You see how much thought process can go into just planning and ensuring that he's gonna do it right. Let's say he does go out with his friends, he drinks a little too much, he wakes up the next day and recriminates himself. Why did I do that? I knew I had to work on my science today. I was supposed to work out. Why did I get convinced to have another and another? That was stupid. And you can see he's spiraling in the shame and blame, which by the way is actually really, really typical. Alcohol releases a neurochemical called dynorphin, and they have actually found that dynorphin is very in high levels in the people who commit suicide. So it's something you don't want to mess with, but it is something that alcohol releases in our brain every time we drink that actually leads to feeling more blame, more anxiety, and more shame. So almost anytime we drink, we will feel those negative feelings the next day because of dynorphin, which leads to a lot of anxious thoughts and a lot of recriminating ourselves. It doesn't even have to be about alcohol. Literally everything that's wrong in your life is wrong in that one moment when you wake up after drinking. And obviously, if Albert Einstein is a drinker, he also has the habit, and so he looks forward to drinking sometimes. And there's that moment where he's like, I can't wait to be done with my science. I'm gonna look up the happy hour. I'm gonna plan this, I'm gonna plan that. And when you put all these together, you can see how much mind space is devoted to the mental gymnastics, to the anxious thoughts, to recriminating himself, to the planning, to all of it. And I know because I used to be there too. Now, I was what you would call a weekend and social drinker. I actually drank a lot more in college, but as I got older, I started to taper off, but I still drank almost every single weekend. And I found myself in this pattern all the time. I was either recriminating myself for drinking over the weekend because it didn't really help me set up for a healthy Monday. I was ruminating because I was trying to plan like, oh, well, this person invited me here and I should only have 1 here and blah, blah, blah. Or I was planning something like a happy hour or a wine getaway. And because of that, so much of my mental energy was devoted to a beverage. And this is what it cost me. I had wanted to write a book ever since I was a little girl. It's been the biggest dream of my life. And I actually used to write a lot before alcohol was introduced into my life. But once it was, my writing kind of dried up. I got really bad writer's block and I had even a hard time journaling. And I always wanted to keep writing this book, but it just wasn't happening. I didn't have the creative ideas, I really didn't have the discipline. I'll tell you the truth, it was a lot easier to open a bottle of wine than write the next great American novel. It's like I was just really stuck and I didn't have good ideas, I didn't have any breakthroughs when alcohol was around. When I went alcohol free though, and by first I just took a break just to experiment, just to see what it was like, but I really liked it, so I kept going. I had the creative download for a book in less than 1 hour. The whole book came to me, and I actually got a 6-figure book deal from HarperCollins for that book, which was so well worth it. Now, what's so exciting about this is that I had the capacity to write the book. I had the creative genius to share this with the world, but alcohol was blocking me because instead of planning on the book and planning on the beautiful expression of my creativity in the world, I was always thinking about should I, shouldn't I, and all these silly games we play around alcohol. And I just have this feeling that if Einstein was in those shoes as well, we literally wouldn't even have the theory of relativity. We really wouldn't even have such a creative genius that blessed us. He would be stuck, his gifts would be stuck behind all the thinking process around alcohol. And for what? We now know that there is no safe amount of alcohol. It is a toxic beverage in all its right. It is not good for us in any amounts. Why are we devoting so much brain space and so much mind power to it? Now, you might not think of yourself like an Einstein. You might not think you're as smart or as intelligent, but I truly believe that every single one of us came to this planet to share our creative genius. That is literally what we have to offer. That is what our purpose here is on this planet. And your creative genius can look really different from mine or another person's, but that is what you came here to do. And alcohol literally is blocking that and numbing that. Not just with the examples I shared with you, there's so much science and evidence to show that alcohol decreases our cognitive performance and our creative genius. The connections in the brain, and I have a whole podcast episode about this on Euphoric the podcast, alcohol free, you'll see how all these different connections in our brain get diminished because of the presence of alcohol. Now the thing is the world's really changing. AI might be taking our jobs, right? And we're gonna start to find that there's so many things that used to be of value in the society change and shape. But the one thing that will always be valuable in our society is our creative genius. Your creative genius has the power to make millions of dollars. Your creative genius has the power to write books and change lives and do so many incredible things. It's the one area you don't want to diminish. And nowadays, yes, a lot of people are deciding to eliminate alcohol for the health benefits, but I hope this gives you another reason to continue in the alcohol-free journey or the sober curious path that gives you a little bit of a feeling that, hey, I actually have a huge competitive edge if I continue alcohol-free because of the expression of my beautiful creative genius with the world. We wouldn't have Einstein without it, and we need you too. If you like this video, I'm gonna be sharing so many more tips about how and who successful people who don't drink, why, and how you can apply these principles to your life, whether it's in personal development, in business and entrepreneur tips, and also in your career. So be sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment if you have something to say. I'll see you in the next one.